Hi, greetings to all. My name is Redzuan and I'm a research librarian from Singapore Management University, and I'm here to share with you an initiative from SMU Libraries on how we leverage on the Library Peer Advisor program to add value to our information literacy and learning programs. But first thing first, just some quick information about SMU. We were founded in 2000. We are a city campus in the heart of downtown Singapore, and today we are home to over 10,000 students, and the unit comprises of 6 schools: business, accountancy, economics, social sciences, computing and information systems, and law. SMU Libraries draws upon the evolving needs of our stakeholders and community. As such, in our recent strategic planning, many of our directions and goals have direct linkages to the university's strategic pillars of digital transformation, sustainability, and growth in Asia. And these are the two libraries that we have. The one on the left, that's the Lee Ka Chung Library. It's also the main library, and the other is the Kuala Lumpur Law Library. This will be the outline of my presentation. The crux of it, I hope to share about how we get started, the whys or the impetus behind these. I'll also share with you the key considerations when coming up with a training program, the marketing that we had done in order to forge the identity of the LPAs or the Library Peer Advisors, the program evaluation. I'll share with you the framework which we had in mind when designing these initiatives, and last but not least, some best practices as well. So coming up with the student peer initiatives, first of all, there are many studies that suggest the benefits of engaging students for this purpose by bringing them into the library fold to train them up to become a peer helper for the library. But on the other hand, there are also studies that say such practices may pose many challenges and limitations, such as the question of quality, loss of library engagement, and therefore it is not always easy for us to do so. But having said that, also there are also many factors why students would want to participate in such library initiatives. And this could range from the fact that there may be flexibility of the program itself, there is formal training structure that might appeal to the students, and some students might see academic value to work for a couple of hours with the library, and also some students see their library participation as having value, and therefore they want it to be reflected in their transcripts or in their CVs. We know also from the literature that there is a changing expectations of students who are increasingly showing a reliance on peer-to-peer learning experience, but somewhere closer to us at the SMU Libraries, in our earlier pre and post survey results, our freshmen actually ranked librarians last against Google and their peers. So for them, it's the peers first, followed by the Googles, and then after that, they're followed by professors, and after that, the last one, it will be the librarians themselves. And another reason why is that in campus-wide SMU, there is an emergence of peer support ecosystem, such as the peer helpers at the wellness center that we have, and the creation of the student services hub by the students themselves. Hence, there is this opportunity for us to contribute further to the student peer ecosystem. So where and how we start? So we decided projecting was necessary for this, and this also allowed us to somewhat put in the resources to explore and investigate the scope which is needed to implement the Library Peer Advisor program. We also were fortunate enough to conduct a survey to a group of student facilitators, and these were all second-year students, and we wanted to get their sense in what would work for them and their perception before making the decision to participate as a Library Peer Advisor. Of course, this eventually led us to a small group of 5 students to pilot the program in 2019 initially. This is part of the survey which we conducted for the students. The questions were designed to investigate the students' perceived challenges, expectations when considering to participate as Library Peer Advisors. In addition, the survey also asked students to identify possible areas they would be interested to help when they join the program. So this is the survey results very quickly. In total, there were 111 facilitators who took part in the survey. Results indicated a far more favorable response to participate in the Library Peer Advisors program. And when making the decision to participate, we know that most of the students identify with self-driven interest, the what's in it for them, more than other altruistic motives. The second emphasis was on monetary incentives and skills useful for work and internships, which suggests to us the practical and motivational needs of students. And the next one was an emphasis on how students view their participation to be worthy of reflection in their CCE and transcript. And lastly but not least, even though we had 81 respondents who expressed interest, however, these did not translate easily into participation because only 5 students were serious enough to follow through with us with a face-to-face casual meetings with us. And so that was our pilot number, which we started with the program. But no matter, at that juncture, we thought that we knew their expectations and what their motives were when they decided to join with us. And now that we know the students' interest to participate in the Library Peer Advisors program, we also have plenty of other questions. The reality starts to sink in as to how we can train them with efficacy, how we communicate with them, and how many hours of training should we give to them, and so on and so forth. But the first and foremost in our mind is how do we train them. So for us in this matter is that it is a combination of providing them the time to do self-learning and providing them with the training sessions themselves. We also follow a simple implementation approach of LIP, which stands for Learn, Immerse, and Practice. For example, we would train the students advisors by conducting the train-the-trainer session for maybe a simple business database. And then we would ask them to form into pairs or in trees to further explore the content on their own. We would also review the content and their delivery in a mock session. Sometimes at this stage, it will be done a few times just to develop the confidence and to ensure that the content is up to our expectations. We also develop a learning schedule for the LPA to undertake, and these were assigned by different library members in the project team. We piloted this schedule, for example, in the second half year of 2019, but we had to revise this as the content was a bit too heavy and too ambitious for us. And subsequently, a pairing approach was adopted where each member were mentored by their assigned activities. In terms of marketing, we put in quite a number of avenues to market the LPAs. This included having an overview presence in our library homepage. The publicity also included an EDM to SMU community. Even one of the library staff did a presentation about the LPA to the library advisory committee members. Now, these advisory committee members are made of several faculty members chaired by the university librarian. We also give them a dedicated research guide for them to use to create their own content in their works to engage with freshmen. So these are some of the examples that we have. The LPA is also involved in the wider SMU-wide orientation for freshmen. Since 2020, the library has been given the airtime to conduct our library orientation online. And so we have been fronting the LPAs to speak to the freshmen themselves to give their personal insights in regards to library usage and in order to make the session much more relatable to freshmen. The session also allows us to market the LPA's contribution to the student peer-to-peer learning ecosystem in SMU. So these are some examples of our LPAs who are taking part in the freshman orientation. Another key engagement which we are very pleased is how the LPAs have made great strides in contributing to one of our flagship program, which is called the Bite-Sized Library Workshops. Now, this Bite-Sized Library Workshop is a series of information literacy and digital literacy sessions which are provided for by us, by the librarians themselves, and by some faculties. So these are some examples. For example, we have the business research, which I had known this by insiders, by the library peer advisors, and these are the two gentlemen which are doing so this coming term. Now we come back to the program evaluation itself. We had a face-to-face session on top of the survey in order to find out from them. There were, of course, some areas that needed our attention and improvements, such as that this idea that the whole activities that we line up for them were rather ad hoc-ish to some of them, that they needed the activities list to be available up front so that it would make easier for them to plan their schedules and school timetables. There was also an issue of communication. Our LPAs prefer that a singular mode of communication were to be held, because there was a time when we would post communication to their emails, and some of us would post in our team meetings and some post in Telegram, so we need to streamline those for the benefit. And of course, some of LPAs who are outgoing were concerned that there should be a clear strategy or plan in how they can impart their knowledge to the next LPA or the next cohort. And these are some of the triumphs and trials of the LPA project. I'm just going to concentrate on the trials. First of all, scheduling meetings can be a challenge because all the LPAs have different class schedules. Second, one of these peer-to-peer service that we have was an AP citation workshop, but we had very low sign-ups for those. Third, is about communication mode. It was more about finding the right time to update them and what technology to use. Fourth, the first couple of months initially, the students felt the involvement is rather ad hoc-ish. And then there was this the challenge of internships, because students go on internships in their third year, and so our LPAs are no exception to this. And last but not least, COVID-19 and the circuit breakers that Singapore had put in place a couple of times had effectively postponed all our on-site activities. So that itself has made all libraries really look into how we work and engage our users. Morphing and sustaining the program from pilot to a new service warrants the need for a framework. So this was what we had in mind when we developed the LPA program. These are 4 elements of managing the LPA: the promotion work, training, and assessment and evaluation were at the foremost when we were planning to conceptualize the LPA program. By managing and coordinating it, this will help us to sustain the initiative in the long run since the pilot in 2019. So a little bit more detail on the framework. In terms of managing the LPAs, these are some of the best practices. Firstly, when it comes to recruitment the LPA after the pilot, we rely on the network of the students, or in this case, their word of mouth. Second, besides the LPA's word of mouth, we also ensure the emphasis was on commitment as criterion during the hiring process, because we want them to join the program with their eyes wide open, and that it does require some hard work. Third, when they come in, we pair the new members with the existing ones as a form of sharing program. We also make sure that the LPA contributions are reflected in their CCA transcripts. That's very important for them. And next, there is a dedicated manager or a library staff who is assigned to coordinate the activities of the LPAs in concert. And lastly, we organize team meeting, coffee catch-ups regularly to keep them engaged, lunches with the UL, basically just to acknowledge and appreciate the LPAs for the hard work. So moving to the next one, promotion and publicity. In terms of that, the first is to plan ahead, to update the LPAs on the work plan at the beginning of the new year, new term. They always appreciate that, just to give them an overview of what to expect in the coming term. Secondly, we identify target audience when we promote our LPA services. For example, the bite-sized section for business research, which I mentioned just now, these were only targeted at freshmen and second years only. Third, when it comes to communication with the LPAs, we decided it was much more better for us to do so via Telegram, and we use email sparingly. We also established library communication emails such as playlists, a library playlist to make the service known to SMU wide. And when it comes to marketing content, to what exactly the LPA services are, we actually co-create with the LPAs to create content for the library's social media accounts, in particular Instagram. And lastly, we involve the library staff, who is also the manager for communication and outreach in the library. In terms of training endeavors, nothing beats the careful planning of training dates in advance. Second, there must always be clarity in deliverables, the general purpose of the training, the format, online or face-to-face, the duration and expected outcomes that we need from the LPAs. And third, we provide at least some rounds of practice to different audiences to allow them to gain confidence in their skills and their delivery. And fourth, our training is a combination of self-learn and also train-the-trainer session. We also ask them to present their content in a dry run simulation to mentors, to some of the librarians, so that we can provide them with several options of dates. And last but not least, we provide micro-teaching platform for the LPAs to practice so that they can receive constructive feedback from us. In terms of assessment and evaluation, we follow a project management methodology related to processes such as project proposals, project close-ups. We provide updates to stakeholders such as the LPT, the library planning team, the LibRec, which I mentioned earlier on, and others identify the project proposal. We conduct focus groups with the LPAs to check in with them and receive feedback. We track both qualitative comments such as compliments and quantitative feedback such as training statistics, usage of research guides, and so on and so forth. And last but not least, we encourage the LPAs to participate in the Library Association of Singapore, the LAS conference as well. In conclusion, the pilot program has certainly yielded some encouraging milestones for us. Despite the challenges that we faced with COVID-19 pandemic, the program had achieved results through mostly the perseverance and the dedication of the LPS, who believed that they were doing something worthwhile with the library. And besides that, we have also contributed another solid avenue in the peer-to-peer learning ecosystem in SMU. And the premise of a peer-to-peer learning itself contributed to SMU global learning outcome, that of a collaborative and interactive learning environment and treating students as a social being. The LPS also made us realize a peer-to-peer learning program is possible, but it requires nurturing and sustaining both in terms of engaging the students themselves and managing them. So that was the last slide. So these are some of the references if you're interested. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you for your time for listening, and I'll be staying put in case there are any questions or remarks. Thank you.